Ambassador Zephyr's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as she reviewed the attendance roster for the 847th Interstellar Assembly. The massive crystalline chamber of the Nexus station hummed with the conversations of delegates from across the galaxy. Representatives from the Altarian Empire adjusted their breathing apparatus, while Kepler Coalition merchants compared trade routes. The insectoid hive clusters clicked their mandibles in animated discussion about mining rights in the Outer Rim. But one seat remained conspicuously empty. Still no response from the Terran delegation, asked Commander Voss of the Centauri Defense Fleet, his scaled skin shifting from blue to concerned purple. Zephyr's tentacles curled around her data pad as she shook her massive head. Nothing. Complete radio silence for the past 3 cycles. The Sol System's communication buoys are operational, but no one answers. This marked the 15th consecutive assembly without human participation. What had started as curiosity among the galactic community was rapidly becoming genuine concern. Humanity had been one of the founding members of the Interstellar Council, their enthusiasm for cooperation and exploration making them popular mediators in disputes between member species. The humans had earned their place through sheer determination rather than advanced technology. When they first achieved faster-than-light travel, their ships were crude, fusion-powered vessels that barely managed to reach neighboring star systems. Other civilizations possessed sleek quantum drives and dimensional fold technology that made human rockets look like toys. Yet humans compensated for their technological limitations with something far more valuable: an infectious optimism and an uncanny ability to find common ground between species that had been enemies for millennia. Dr. Sarah Chun had been their last ambassador, a brilliant xenobiologist who spoke 17 alien languages and had personally negotiated the peace treaty between the silicon-based crystalline collective and the energy beings of the Plasma Nebula. Her final transmission had been routine, confirming humanity's commitment to the upcoming trade summit. Then nothing. Perhaps they're dealing with some internal crisis, suggested Elder Thrum of the Geological Senate, his rocky exterior grinding thoughtfully. Young species often face growing pains. But Zephyr wasn't convinced. She had worked closely with humans for over 2 decades, and they weren't the type to simply disappear without explanation. Humans were talkers, negotiators, beings who solved problems through communication rather than force. Their sudden silence felt wrong, like a song missing its melody. As the assembly proceeded through its standard agenda of territorial disputes and resource allocation, whispers spread through the chamber. Some delegates suggested that humanity had finally fallen victim to one of the galaxy's numerous threats. Space was dangerous, filled with rogue AI networks, interdimensional parasites, and ancient automated defense systems left behind by extinct civilizations. The Void Seekers, a nomadic species of energy vampires, have been particularly active in recent cycles. They consumed the life force of entire star systems, leaving behind empty husks of dead worlds. Several frontier colonies had gone dark, their distress signals abruptly cutting off mid-transmission. Perhaps Earth had met the same fate. Other species whispered about the cascade war brewing in the galactic rim, where the robotic Nexus Empire was systematically converting organic worlds into mechanical strongholds. Their self-replicating war machines could strip a planet bare in mere months, transforming living ecosystems into factories that produced even more killing machines. Maybe humanity had been caught in the expanding conflict, but the most disturbing theory came from the prophetic seers of Andromeda. These beings claimed to perceive possible futures through quantum consciousness linking. Their prophecies were often cryptic and open to interpretation, but their recent visions have been unusually specific. A great silence followed by an awakening that would reshape the balance of galactic power. The small ones who speak much will speak no more, the seer delegation had chanted during the previous assembly. Then they will speak with the voice of thunder, and the stars themselves will listen. Most delegates dismissed this as typical mystical nonsense, but Zephyr found herself thinking about those words as she watched the empty human seats. The seers had been right before, predicting the fall of the Titan corporate states and the emergence of the Hive collective consciousness decades before either event occurred. As the assembly moved into closed-session discussions about military spending and border security, Admiral Karath of the Klingon-descended warrior clans raised a more practical concern. If Terra has fallen to hostile forces, we need to know. The Sol system controls 3 major hyperspace routes. If an enemy has established a foothold there, they could threaten half the core worlds. This sparked heated debate among the military representatives. The Terran solar system occupied a strategically crucial position in the galaxy's hyperspace network. Most faster-than-light travel relied on natural hyperspace currents that flowed between massive gravitational bodies like stars and black holes. Earth-Sun sat at the intersection of several major routes, making it an ideal staging point for both trade and military operations. Humanity had never exploited this advantage aggressively. Instead, they had opened their system to peaceful traffic from all species, establishing way stations and refueling depots that served everyone equally. Their generosity had made them wealthy through trade taxes and fees, but more importantly, it had made them friends with nearly every spacefaring civilization. "We should send a reconnaissance mission," declared General Vex of the Arachnid Defense Corps, her 8 legs clicking against the chamber floor. "If Earth has been compromised, we need intelligence on what we're facing." But who could be trusted with such a sensitive mission? The various species of the Interstellar Council maintained an uneasy peace, but old rivalries and territorial ambitions still simmered beneath the surface. Sending a military force to investigate Earth's silence could be seen as an act of aggression or an attempt to claim the strategically valuable system. Zephyr found herself appointed to lead a small diplomatic mission, chosen for her long history of cooperation with humanity and her reputation for neutrality. Her crew would consist of representatives from 6 different species, each with their own interests, but bound by council protocols to respect territorial sovereignty. The journey to Sol took 18 days aboard the diplomatic vessel Unity. The ship's mixed crew worked efficiently together, a testament to decades of interspecies cooperation. Lieutenant Zara, a cybernetic organism from the Machine Collective, monitored communications channels for any sign of human activity. Dr. Venn, a crystalline entity capable of sensing quantum fluctuations across vast distances, searched for energy signatures that might indicate hidden bases or cloaked fleets. But as they approached the outer edge of the Sol system, their instruments detected something that made no sense. The system was exactly as it should be. All planets in their proper orbits, space traffic control beacons functioning normally, even routine automated messages still broadcasting from various installations. Yet there were no ships, no responses to their hails, no signs of life on any human colonies. "It's like they just left," whispered Engineer Torque, his insectoid compound eyes reflecting the light from distant Earth. "Everything's running on autopilot, but nobody's home." They found a first clue on Mars. The red planet's terraforming stations were still operational, atmosphere processors working steadily to thicken the air and raise the temperature. But the colonial cities that had housed millions of humans stood empty, their lights automatically cycling on and off according to program schedules. In New Geneva, the planet's capital, they discovered something that sent chills through the expedition crew. The city's central computer contained a message, logged just 3 months after humanity's last communication with the Council. It was brief, almost casual in its tone. Population relocation protocol initiated. All essential systems maintaining automated operation. Expected return date undetermined. Message ends. But relocation to where and why? Earth itself provided more questions than answers. The blue planet appeared healthy from orbit, its cities still glowing with artificial light, its satellites still transmitting routine data. But long-range scans revealed the same pattern. Automated systems running perfectly with no organic life signatures anywhere on the surface. It was as if 4 billion humans had simply vanished overnight, leaving behind a perfectly functioning but empty civilization. Perhaps they evacuated due to some threat we haven't detected yet, suggested Dr. Van, his crystalline form pulsing with concerned energy. Some cosmic danger that forced them to abandon their homeworld. But Zephyr's intuition, honed by years of diplomatic experience, told her this was something else entirely. The message spoke of relocation, not evacuation. It sounded planned, purposeful, like humanity had chosen to leave rather than being forced out by circumstances. The final piece of the puzzle came from Luna, Earth's ancient moon. Hidden on the far side, in a crater that had been converted into a massive industrial complex, they found something that made their translation devices struggle to find adequate words in their respective languages. Shipyards, enormous construction facilities that stretched for kilometers across the lunar surface. And, according to the timestamp on the facility's computers, they had been built and then abandoned just weeks after humanity's disappearance from galactic politics. They built something here, breathed Lieutenant Zora, her mechanical components whirring as she processed the data. Something big. Look at these power consumption records. Whatever they were constructing required more energy than most star bases. The construction bays were empty now, but the scorch marks on the metal floors and the residual quantum signatures in the air told a story of massive manufacturing operations. Something had been built here, something that required resources from across the entire solar system based on the shipping records they found. But what? And where had it gone? As the diplomatic mission prepared their report for the Interstellar Council, each member struggled to understand what they had discovered. Humanity hadn't been destroyed or conquered. They had chosen to leave, taking with them whatever they had built in those secret lunar shipyards. The question that haunted every species in the galaxy was simple but terrifying. What had humanity built, and why did they feel the need to disappear to do it? Zephyr stared at Earth one last time before their ship jumped back to hyperspace. Somewhere out there, beyond the reach of galactic civilization's sensors, 4 billion humans were pursuing some unknown agenda with technology that had required them to mobilize their entire species. The galaxy had always known humans as diplomatic, cooperative, and somewhat technologically limited. But what if that had been wrong? What if humanity's greatest strength hadn't been their diplomacy, but their ability to plan for the future while keeping their true capabilities hidden? As the Unity departed the Sol system, carrying news of humanity's mysterious disappearance back to the Council, none of the crew noticed the small quantum signatures scattered throughout the asteroid belt. Signatures that indicated someone was still watching, still monitoring galactic communications from hidden observation posts. Humanity hadn't vanished. They had gone to work. The news of Terra's empty world spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Within weeks, every major civilization was debating what humanity's disappearance meant for galactic politics. Trade routes that had depended on Sol system waypoints were hastily rerouted. Military planners updated their strategic assessments to account for the loss of humanity as a stabilizing diplomatic force. But in the deepest reaches of space, far beyond the mapped territories of known civilizations, something was stirring. Something that would soon remind the galaxy that humanity's greatest talent had never been their diplomacy or their cooperation. It had been their ability to prepare for war while everyone else was talking about peace. 3 years had passed since the diplomatic mission to Sol, and the galaxy had slowly adapted to functioning without human mediation. Trade disputes that once would have been resolved through Earth's patient negotiators now escalated into small conflicts. The crystalline collective and the plasma entities had returned to their ancient hostilities, while border skirmishes between the Arachnid Defense Corps and the Klingon warrior clans grew more frequent. The Interstellar Council had established a memorial to humanity in the Great Chamber of Nexus Station, a simple plaque that read, "In memory of our vanished friends, who taught us that differences could become strengths." Most delegates barely glanced at it anymore. But Ambassador Zephyr never stopped thinking about the mystery of Terra's disappearance. In her private quarters aboard the station, she maintained a detailed investigation into humanity's final months. Her 4 eyes tracked data streams from across the galaxy, looking for any sign of human activity or clues about their secret project. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source, a scavenger named Riggs who operated on the edge of known space. The grizzled Vorthan trader had been exploring a dead system in the Galactic Rim when his sensors detected something impossible, a massive energy signature emanating from what appeared to be empty space. I'm telling you, Ambassador, it was like staring at a star that wasn't there. Riggs explained through the quantum communicator, his scarred face twitching with nervous energy. My ship's computers kept insisting I was looking at empty vacuum, but every energy detector I had was screaming about massive power sources. Zephyr leaned forward, her tentacles curling with interest. Did you investigate? I tried, but the moment I got within 1,000 kilometers, some kind of stealth field dropped, and I found myself staring at the biggest space station I've ever seen. Had to be at least 50 kilometers long, bristling with weapons that looked like nothing I'd ever encountered. And the weird part? The design was almost familiar, like someone had taken human engineering principles and advanced them by centuries. The scavenger transmitted his sensor logs, and Zephyr felt her blood temperature drop as she reviewed the data. The energy signatures were indeed massive, indicating a facility that could support millions of beings. But more disturbing were the quantum resonance patterns that suggested advanced manufacturing capabilities beyond anything known to galactic civilization. They didn't want to be found, that's for sure, Riggs continued. The moment my ship was detected, I received a transmission in perfect galactic standard. This is a restricted area. Depart immediately or face defensive action. Voice was definitely human, but there was something different about it. Harder, like they'd been practicing for a fight. Zephyr authorized payment for Riggs' information and immediately began cross-referencing his coordinates with other reports from the Galactic Rim. What she discovered made her question everything she thought she knew about humanity's peaceful nature. Over the past 3 years, at least 17 different independent traders and exploration ships had reported similar encounters with hidden facilities in unexplored systems. Each report described the same pattern: sophisticated stealth technology concealing massive installations that appeared to be of human origin. And in every case, the response had been professional but unmistakably threatening. More disturbing still, several frontier colonies had reported visits from unmarked ships that matched no known design but used human communication protocols. These vessels never made hostile moves, but they conducted detailed scans of planetary defenses and resource capabilities before disappearing back into hyperspace. They're mapping us, Zephyr realized with growing alarm. They're cataloging every military installation, every resource depot, every strategic position in known space. But mapping for what purpose? The answer began to emerge from the most unexpected quarter: the Void Seekers themselves. These energy vampires that had been terrorizing the galaxy's outer regions suddenly found themselves facing an entirely new kind of opposition. Captain Zayrath of the Hegemony Defense Force was investigating the destruction of the Void Seeker mothership Entropy when he encountered something that defied military logic. The massive bioship, which had been capable of draining the life force from entire star systems, had been reduced to inert matter floating in space. But the weapon signatures at the scene matched no known technology. Whatever hit them used some kind of quantum disruption field that completely severed their connection to the life energy they feed on, Zayrath reported to the Council. But that should be impossible. Void Seekers exist partially outside normal space-time. You can't just cut them off from their energy source. Yet someone had done exactly that. And analysis of the quantum signatures suggested the weapons had been human in origin, though far more advanced than anything Earth had possessed during their last contact with galactic civilization. Similar reports began trickling in from across the Rim territories. Void Seeker feeding fleets that had operated with impunity for centuries were being systematically hunted down and destroyed by unknown forces. Pirates who preyed on civilian shipping found their bases obliterated overnight. Even the automated killing machines of the expanding Nexus Empire began reporting losses to unidentified attackers. The galaxy's attention was so focused on these mysterious defenders that few noticed the other changes occurring in the deep void between star systems. Construction activities that defied conventional understanding of logistics. Energy signatures that suggested manufacturing on an industrial scale impossible to hide, yet somehow remaining invisible to all but the most sensitive instruments. Dr. Ven, the crystalline entity who had accompanied Zephyr on the original mission to Sol, made a discovery that changed their understanding of the situation entirely. While analyzing quantum flux patterns in what appeared to be empty space, his species' unique sensory capabilities detected something that conventional sensors missed: entire fleets of ships existing in a state of quantum superposition, technically present, but phase-shifted just enough to remain undetectable. "They're everywhere," Vin reported with something approaching awe in his crystalline voice. "Once I learned how to look for the quantum signatures, I started finding them throughout the galaxy. Hundreds of ships, maybe thousands, all maintaining perfect stealth while observing everything we do." The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just disappeared. They had been secretly building the largest military force in galactic history while maintaining perfect surveillance of every major civilization. And they had been doing it for 3 years without anyone noticing. But the most disturbing revelation came when Zephyr correlated the stealth fleet positions with recent galactic events. Every major conflict, every political crisis, every territorial dispute of the past 3 years had occurred under the watchful eyes of hidden human observers. It was as if humanity had been studying galactic politics from the shadows, learning how their former allies behaved when they thought no one was watching. The pattern became clear when Zephyr analyzed the timing of humanity's disappearance against galactic political trends. Humanity had vanished just as several major conflicts were beginning to simmer. The Cascade War in the Rim territories, the growing aggression of the Void Seekers, and the increasing militarization of previously peaceful species. They saw this